So, some of you may already know this. Apparently, the news on this came out back in April or May of this year. And I was just reading an article about it the other day, and I said, you know what? I think I want to stop and take the time to address this and make a video on it. But Kansas City has now taken the time and the finances and resources to build a tiny home village for homeless veterans so that they have a place to live for free. I mean, that, a lot of people underestimate, I think, just how much room you might actually have in a tiny house. So for someone who is living in a street, that's definitely a huge improvement over where they were. It gives them a roof over their head. So, I mean, that really is wonderful. And that's the sort of thing that our taxpayer dollars should really be funding. Things like this that actually help the American citizens. Okay? We shouldn't be spending more and more and more and more tax dollars to go off into some foreign war that causes more and more people to go out into the military and then only to come home to possibly only find themselves in a situation like this, because when they come back home, a lot of the times they don't take care of the vets. I mean, even what vets get as far as healthcare goes, look at the VA. VA's been criticized for years as to how badly it's ran. Okay? So, that being said, I want to just stop and put up on the screen and read through this article about this tiny home village for these veterans. Okay. The Veterans Community Project in Kansas City is taking serious steps to improve the lives of America's war heroes. Thanks to generous donations from community members, they've built the Veterans Village, a collection of small houses that homeless veterans can live in for free. So I'm guessing, gather from this, is actually being done by the Veterans Community Project, not actually Kansas City themselves, which that actually disappoints me if tax dollars aren't actually doing this. Okay. The village includes 50 individual homes, each one about the size of a studio apartment. Occupants are provided with food and necessities, as well as a sense of privacy, security, and stability. A nearby community center, still under construction, will host classes and counseling aimed at helping veterans readjust their lives and cope with trauma. The VCP is made up of self-described Veterans Helping Veterans, and has spearheaded many projects combating homelessness and neglect in veteran communities. Though not the first of its kind in the U.S., the concept of tiny homes does make the Veterans Village a unique and economically smart place of refuge. So right there, you can see a good example of what one of these little tiny homes would look like, okay? Now again, I want to say I'm very disappointed that apparently this isn't being paid for by tax dollars, federal, local, whatever. These are the sorts of things that should be done for our veterans when they come home. And while I'm glad that a charitable organization has come together to do these sorts of things, it's sad that that is what it takes to get something like this done for veterans. And it really is. It's just simply, it's sad. Okay. Now, what is the significance of what's going on here? The statistic that I'm about to give you does not just apply to veterans. This applies to every homeless person out there. Studies were done that roughly it would cost $20 billion to end homelessness. $20 billion. and there would not be an adult in the country, statistically, that did not have a home. Now, one guy in particular had a company that got away with paying no taxes last year. The company would be Amazon. Amazon. And what is Jeff Bezos' net worth? His net worth is $109.2 billion. $109.2 billion. And $20 billion would end homelessness in the United States. And this guy and his company got away with paying no taxes last year. Did you pay taxes last year? Did any of my viewers, did you have to pay taxes last year? I had to pay taxes last year. They took them right out of my paycheck on schedule every time. And then slapped me with a fine at the end of the year for not having health insurance that I couldn't afford. How about any of you? Did you have to do that? How about people you know? Did anybody you know have to pay taxes last year? Because this rich jackass didn't. His company got away. And yet we have things like this going on where our veterans aren't taken care of properly when they come home, have harder times finding jobs when they come back home. And while steps have been made, not enough has been done. And it takes things like this just to put a roof over someone who fought for this country's head. These freaking lawmakers should be ashamed of themselves, man. Pure and simple. They should absolutely be ashamed of themselves that the people that they sent off to fight the wars they started, they instigated, and they got us into have to come home and go through this to find a place to stay. When only 20 billion, and this government can spend how many billions hand over fist to keep the military-industrial complex pumping, but only 20 billion would end homelessness for not only the veterans, but everybody. So if that's everybody, how much would it take to end homelessness for veterans alone? But 20 billion would end homelessness statistically for everyone. And we can't even get that done, yet you've got a guy who's worth $109.2 billion and his company's getting away with paying no taxes whatsoever. Absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. But again, I want to really take the time to thank this organization for doing projects like this, and it would be great if we could get more things like this done in the communities. I think it would make a really big difference, and I'm sure these veterans are touched deep in their hearts and really appreciate what these people are doing for them. But these are the sorts of things that our tax dollars really need to be doing, reinvesting in the people and reinvesting in communities, and mainly taking care of the veterans that went to fight in the wars that all you politicians got us into. And so as a freaking thank you, you could at least take care of them when they come home. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like the video. Also, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop a comment in the comment box below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell so you'll stay up to date when we drop new videos and you'll get notifications of it. And also, please support us on Patreon. Funds are going to be used to grow and improve this channel so we can reach more and more people and spread the message that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell people. We hope you'll tune in next time.